Hello, good evening. Hi, I hope everyone's okay. And here we go. I'm a little bit late tonight. Hello, Dan of all trades. Oops, I got to sort out my sound. I always do this. Okay, lovely people, listen. I am moving house in 2 weeks today, or this week. There definitely will not be a live stream in 2 weeks' time. There might not be one next week. I'll do the best I can. Okay, in the meantime, here we are tonight, and this week is quite important because I've been a little bit bullish here off the lows, and I'm going to tidy up my chart, take all the notes off it here, and explain why. As you know, I'm a big fan of moving averages, so you know I see them as a really useful trend guide, and when you get the other side of them, I look for them to become dynamic support and resistance. So here in Bitcoin, we have finally, here's my chart. Here in Bitcoin, we have finally gotten above our daily 20 moving average. And from this high to this low, we've also gotten above our 236 fib, which is a really good trend guide. So for me, as long as we stay above 37,962 on a daily close, I think that we have got more upside to come. Now, one of the problems, and I think that we've got a good shot at this sort of, you know, maybe 50% back, but the 38.2 next anyway, and that's going to give us a shot at getting above this daily 200 moving average, which has capped us when we tried it at the end of May. So that's all the positive stuff. You know, potentially this was a fifth wave, truncated fifth wave. Potentially this was a, you know, potentially this was, you know, I don't know, a false breakdown underneath this 50% level, and now we're going up again. But really, we are still, unfortunately, until we get above this 38.2, this 200 moving average, this first bounce high here, because this was the biggest low, wasn't it? So this bounce, unless we can get above this bounce high, so this 42,000, 43,000 level is like crucial. So we've got a couple of days to get there, and this week is option expiration week in stock indexes. Now, normally, options expiration week is quite bullish for stock indexes. Stock prices tend to go up. The reason is that a lot of people hedge against stocks going down in options, and they can't really often be allowed to win. So, you know, especially people hedge in the VIX as well, and VIX options expire on Wednesday. And so very often this week is a bullish week for stock indexes and stocks, and they will go up. And then seasonally, the week after June options expiration is one of the worst weeks of the year, and I'm going to show you a bit more about that in a minute. And so what I think, especially because, you know, Bitcoin is very correlated with the NASDAQ, it may be that we just rally up to this 42,000 level and we have a pullback. What I'd like to see, though, because the one thing that would make me think that we've got a bottom in is a really strong 5-wave rally. So far, you know, we haven't got anything that looks good enough to be that yet. So that's what I'm looking for. So Wednesday, we've got VIX expiration. We've got option expiration all week. But the really, really big news this week is the Fed on Wednesday. And that is at 7 p.m. UK time, and the press conference is at 7:30, which is 2 p.m. in the United States. And that's going to be a massive deal because of everybody's inflation fears with all the stimulus. And, you know, some of the numbers on the non-farm payroll, we've got wage inflation. You know, the market's going to be paying very close attention to what happens on Wednesday. And sometimes, even when the Fed don't do anything, it's all a matter of what people are anticipating. And we can have a really volatile day, and it can have a really, really volatile effect on Bitcoin because of the dollar. So let's talk about what I mean by this seasonal effect because it is quite marked. And so I'm just going to bring this over here. So this is the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index. This is a 20-year seasonal chart. So this is the average of what market does for the past 20 years. And you can see this is where we are here in June. It's not looking very good, is it? If we look at the S&P 500, this is where we are in June. This is what tends to happen after the options expiration week. Now, some years you will have stock options expire and then the VIX don't expire till the following week, and sometimes you'll see a bit of weakness until the following week. But this year the VIX expiration is on Wednesday, the same day as the Fed, and so this is all setting up for, if we follow the seasonal pattern, and you know, let's face it, not every year we do, but if we were to follow the seasonal pattern for stock indexes this year, this is the CAC, you know, a little bit of a rally, but look, the end of June is not, and particularly the week after options expiration is not a very good week. Oil tends to top around August, it tends to go sideways. But even the energy sector is a bit ugly. So I just wanted to warn you about that because, yeah, as long as I've been, this is from my Slack group, sorry. As long as I've been trading, this mid-June has, been a very difficult week. So let's see. Now, that could mean that we go back to the top of the range. We go back to this 42,000 level in Bitcoin. And if everything goes down, Bitcoin could have a bit of a struggle and we could stay in this sideways range and we could fail at this 200 moving average. What I'd really like to see is a couple of days where we get above it and then a pullback. You know, sometimes, you know, the sell-off doesn't happen this week, it's next week. And if that was the case, you know, it'd be really good if we had a strong week that could get us above all these resistances and above all this, you know, and then, you know, when we pull back, we're in much better shape. You know, in Bitcoin, it would be a pullback rather than a bit of a disaster. So at the moment, you know, it looks a little bit like a bit of a triple. The stock index that the Bitcoin is most correlated with is the NASDAQ. And if we take a look at the NASDAQ, it's looking, for me, it's looking potentially, you know, it's at one of those kind of levels. Let's get the NASDAQ chart up and you'll see here. So this 14,100 level has been a little bit tricky. Now, third touches are very often false breakouts. So here's our first high, second high. So I would not be surprised at all if we went beyond this and then came back. Third touches of trend lines are very often false breakouts, and third touches of horizontal support and resistance levels are as well. Obviously, if we keep going, then happy days. I'm wrong, and this week isn't going to be one of those seasonal weeks in June, but it has the potential to be. So although we're all a little bit giddy and bullish about Bitcoin at the moment, I just wanted to warn you that this week, the rest of the month has the potential to be a little bit of a doozy. And so if you've got FOMO, and, you know, it was very easy to have it yesterday, then, you know, we will at some point, if we're going to do something, we're going to have a really strong 5 waves up followed by a really nice pullback. And so that's what I would be looking for. And yeah, I just can't say it enough, you know, I'm really not going to get that bullish unless we can get above and hold above 43,000 in Bitcoin. I think that it has the potential to be tricky. If we look at the weekly, we can see that's our weekly 20 moving average as well. So a lot of resistance there. I'd love to trade above it. And I'd love the pullback in stocks, you know, to be good for Bitcoin and Bitcoin to be a safe haven. And we just pull back and retest support and everyone with FOMO gets in. But, you know, in the real world, yeah, if you're feeling like you've missed out or this is the bottom and you didn't catch it, I would say, yeah, take a large drink and be patient and wait for pullbacks, because at the moment we look good. If we were to trade just Japanese candlesticks and we look at these weekly candlesticks here in Bitcoin, one of the things when you have a big fall like these long candles with long bodies, then the 50% back of these long bodies acts as support and resistance in the middle. And if we look at this, we can see that so far in Bitcoin we have not been able to close above that level either, which is a little bit concerning, because it's not really, in terms of weekly candlesticks, a bullish reversal unless we do. And that 50% level is 40,599, so 40,600. So that's where our resistance and where we would really need the first thing we would need to see in a weekly close. So it could potentially just be a sideways range, and we need to be, I'm tentatively bullish, but boy, you know, this just above us is some really key levels to get through. I think it's always worth taking a quick peek at the futures as well. The futures are such big volume now that they, you know, we shouldn't really ignore them. If we look at the same thing here, weekly candlesticks, these are all dojis, these are indecision candles here in the middle, and if we look at the open close, we're stuck at that 50% level, 40,690 here. So that would be the first sign. A weekly close above 40,690 would be the first sign that we've bottomed at the moment. But otherwise, potentially, this is, you know, going to be a bit of a tough sideways range. And whenever, you know, you're in between these moving averages, you get into a bit of a no man's land where you can go back and forward quite a lot as well. And so for us, and this 20 moving average, again, that's that 43,000 level that's a little bit sticky, and we've got to still get above. So not quite, as you can see, I've got quite a nice bullish count here, but this is not quite yet the bullish reversal that we want to see. I keep hoping, I did buy it, I keep hoping it's going to keep going, but you know, hope really isn't a trading strategy. You need a bit of a plan, you need a stop or a hedge, or you need to be prepared that this might not be the bottom. So that's all I'm going to say, unless there's any questions about that. Yeah, so here we are at this level. So let's talk about how I calculated the target levels as well, because it wasn't using this. So for me, if we want to see something really impulsive off the bottom, what we really want to see is this first bounce be the first of a one, and then a correction, and then this be a new upswing. And if that's the case, you know, the waves seem to need to have a relationship. So I measured for this first wave here, okay, and so this 39,000 level came from, this was 61.8 of the first bounce. So if we stop there, that would be corrective. 44,000, I don't think I must have measured it wrong. Here we go. 44,000 is, here we go. 44,000 is where we would have an equal measured move, and then up here 52,000 would be where this would be 1.618 of this big first swing and a really nice move. We could also do that on small scale here with this rally that we're doing here, so we could project levels like this. So you measure the first swing, you look at this three-wave correction, project it from the low. So here we've got 39,225. I think these are the levels I posted. 42,000 and then 46,600. And so that's where I get these levels from. And you know, fib levels like this, so they're a little bit like a staircase. So if we are going to keep going higher here, this 61.8 level, 39,225, now that we've gotten above it, should be support. So we're going to watch and see if this holds a support now for us to continue higher to 42,000. It's also, yeah, it's got quite a good look. It's these previous highs and it's a 61.8 level. So if we do drop back underneath this 39 level, then I think 37,000 maybe, but you know, it starts to look a lot more toppy, doesn't it? And a lot less like the bullish reversal that we're looking for. So yeah, what a shame. I really wanted to be excited this week, but there's a lot going against us. Now, every now and then, everyone will expect a really bearish June, and it won't happen. Let's hope this is one of those years. Okay, so if we look at ETH, I've got ETH futures here. One of the reasons that I got the futures out, and I got the Bitcoin futures out and ETH futures out, is I wanted to see where, you see, if you get FOMO and you want to jump in, you want to see where the gap is. So if the gap gets filled, where will the gap come back to that you can leave an order? In other words, if we get a deep pullback to the gap. And so that's one of those that I was looking for in Bitcoin and ETH. But if in fact it doesn't look, it looks very squeezy, like a little bit of a short squeeze, and so it doesn't seem to be happening. So let's go and look at our Ethereum dollar chart. So we've got a very similar problem on our weekly chart to Bitcoin. We're stuck in the bottom 50% of our big down candle. So that's the first place that we're going to say, okay, that'd be a bullish reversal. We could draw that as a little bit of a wedge, couldn't we, because of this declining. So we might get a little bit of an early warning of a breakout. That would be nice. But at the moment, we're still, whilst we stay in the bottom half of that big weekly over, thrust candle, we're still on the back foot and still kind of with a bearish tone. All of these inside bars are indecision and consolidation, back and fill, really. They don't have any, we haven't really got a nice bullish trigger to go yet. And there's nothing worse than a sideways market for chopping people up. You've got to be very careful and recognize when it's going sideways. One of the best ways to recognize, I think, is moving averages. When you've got, this is a 4-hour chart, here our moving averages are completely flat and going sideways. And whenever you see that, you say no trend. There is no trend here. It's a range. Buy the bottom, sell the top, and don't get chopped up in the middle. So most of these altcoins have been underperforming Bitcoin for a little bit. That includes Ethereum. If we take a look at ETH Bitcoin, a lot of people have asked me about this chart. So we will, am I bearish? Am I still bullish? When we look at this, really we've been in the sideways, haven't we? A very nasty correction, quite a deep one. Where are we though, big picture? Because here we had a big 3 waves down, which is normally corrective. And when you see that, you put your fibs on both swings. So we're going to do this on both swings. If I can, here we go. Operator error tonight. Okay, now when I do that, I'm thinking, you're always looking for your fibs to line up. Have you drawn them correctly? Especially this 236 fib. In this case, clearly I haven't, because the 236 got a reaction here. And so here we are in the middle. Are we doing that 61.8, 38.2 dance here? Yeah, I think we are. And so between the 61.8 level and the 38.2 is where markets tend to consolidate. The bulls and the bears fight it out. The 50% level is the pivot in the middle. If you break it, you tend to go to the bottom or the top. And it really has no meaning. So at the moment, really, ETH and Bitcoin are consolidating. If we were to break this 38.2, we would see a dip back to retest this 200 moving average and this 236 fib. It's quite simple with these fibs. And if we were to break the 61.8, we would likely go up and say hi to that 786 fib next, and potentially a Gartley pattern up there at 0.1. And in the middle here, I honestly don't know which way first. I do think, even if we come down here, that we will then go up, but I don't know whether we go straight up from here or whether we have a dip down first. Yeah, it really could. At the moment, whilst we're underneath the middle, I would say potentially a dip more likely, more sideways. And as you know, this is quite a good proxy for altcoins. And so this likely means more sideways for altcoins as well. And remember, it's June, the end of June. It's like not a good time. The end of June is like, if you ever wanted to, if you ever want to, you know, I know most crypto traders don't take holidays, but if you were ever in the future to, the end of June, the last 2 weeks of June is really the best time to take a holiday. Before all the kids get out of school, and yeah, when the markets are pretty disastrous usually. Okay, so we're neutral. We're coiling up, higher, lower high, lower low, higher low, you know, higher low, lower high, and waiting for a breakout. A triangle here would be an interesting pattern, and that's when we have 5 waves sideways, because it would be a sign that this was probably a wave 4 and we would see one more leg higher. But until then, really not much we can do. Now, there's a few coins that were really outperforming. In the pullback in Bitcoin, there were a few coins that were really outperforming. Theta was one of them. Matic, you know, Dot. But ADA, what I was really impressed about when we look at ADA is when we look at this weekly chart of ADA, how we were holding above these previous highs on a pullback. We were in a weekly uptrend, but we also have the same problem that all of these weekly charts have for these altcoins, in that we had the big drop and we're still in the bottom half, consolidating of this candle, and all of the time that we're doing that, it's still bearish, staying in the bottom 50%. That's what we've got to break out of. Now, we've had a go, but these patterns, you know, when you see 3-wave swings, they're really signs of corrections. The move you just made is a correction. So it's a bit like Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can keep going, what we would really want to see now is some really strong upside movement from ADA. At the moment, we've just dropped. I've got Heikenhashi on. We've a little bit worryingly, you know, we've been going back and forward through these moving averages, but today we've got underneath them, we've got our first bearish cross and its resistance. I feel like, let's go back to the weekly of this ADA. So if this was our first swing down and this is our correction, we've still got it. So we'll still have an A, B, a C leg to finish corrections. Remember, impulse moves are usually 5 waves, corrections are usually 3 waves. So this would be 1, 2, still need another one to come. In fact, even down here. And so, if we were to do that, this means we are set up for a retest of the lows in ADA Tether at 0.9874, which, if we came down here, would be where we would say hi to this 200 moving average that's moving up as fast as it can. So this is what I'm looking for, and that's where I would like to buy. 0.99, 0.9979, 0.98, that's where I think we are probably headed to, unfortunately. Now, I'm wrong. I would be wrong if we had some really strong outside movement. We got above these daily moving averages first of all, and then above this previous high. That would take out the daily downtrend, short-term downtrend here, wouldn't it? And then back above those moving averages and new highs would be, or that weekly close would be good. But yeah, I'm afraid it's the summer doldrums, and I'm still seeing lower for ADA. Yeah, unless we're above 1.64. Okay, so let's see. I've got a bit of an order here. I need to try and follow it if I can. And obviously talk a bit quicker or be here all blooming night. Nobody wants that today. Okay, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, ETHBTC, ADA, Matic. Okay, Matic. What a beast Matic is. It really is a beast. Now, so we just talked about how corrections should be 3 waves. The third wave very often is 61.8 of the first swing. Sometimes it's equal. Here in Matic, we've had a drop, a rally, and this third swing is 61.8 of the first swing. So this was a perfect place with where C is 61.8 of A for Matic to rally from and continue the uptrend after some pretty nice sideways trading. If we look, these candles are like candy cane, and in fact what we've got here with Matic is the most recent one is a bullish engulfing, and here we are holding the sort of in the top half, the 50% of this Matic candle as well. So this is also a weekly candlestick, very bullish. It's the inverse of what we've been seeing in ETH, in Bitcoin, and so many other, and ADA we just looked at. It's the opposite. So much more bullish, much more encouraging. Now, the problem is we have to consider the environment we're in. So we need to be buying dips in Matic, but we also have to be aware that if everything goes down, Matic's likely to have a little bit of a pullback with it. So we would be looking for a double bottom in Matic, a retest of the lows if that happens, and for them to hold it. If that did happen in it, because we see these retests of the lows a lot in crypto, I think that would be a massive gift. Let's see if we've done it before. We do tend to do quite deep pullbacks. So yeah, that would be a gift if Matic came back. That 61.8 level is really strong. I think you can buy against it. I think you can look for it to hold. And we also know that if we get underneath it and hold underneath it, it's at 1.2301. If we get underneath it and can't get it back above it, in other words, it becomes resistance, then we'd be looking for the bigger correction, and I would be wrong about everything. But for now, yeah, Matic, I'd be looking for a retest or a pullback. If we did a shallow pullback, it would just be to this daily 20, which is be 1.36. If we did a deep one, if everything collapses, then we'd be looking for something like that. So Matic, definitely one of the more bullish charts out there in terms of moving averages. Okay, so the next one that we are going to look at is Dot Ripple Sol. Okay, so Dot. Now, Polkadot. Just have a quick drink. It did the same move as Bitcoin over the weekend, didn't it? Where we made a very perfect ABC correction and it retested the low. This is what I mean. Now, Polkadot's in a much better position in term. So on the hourly, this looks like a false breakdown, doesn't it? And a little bit, oops, a bit of a squeaker, and up we go. Whenever you've got a double bottom like this, if you break the highs in the middle, you've broken out of the range and everything's good, and up you're going. Here we are having a little bit of a fight over this line, and so if we can hold above it and push above it, that's going to be a bullish reversal for Dot, and also for that daily, a really crucial daily 200 moving average. So we're right on that. Come on, let's go a little bit further. If you haven't bought any Dot, this is the place we will buy a little bit, because this one could see a really nice reversal here. So what if it's or just corrective? So because it could be, this is 5 waves down, isn't it? 3 waves up. Now it may be that this 3 waves up is just the beginning of a bigger 3 waves up. So this is 1, 2, 3. And if we look under the hood here, you can see we've done 3 waves down here. So that is entirely possible. So a new high, a break above those moving averages, for a minimum, we'll be looking for that ABC pattern. Okay, 5 waves down, 3 waves back. If we start to see 5 waves up, then that'd be happy days. This would make this a funky, irregular correction, which it could have been with this double top here, and on our way to new highs. So that it is quite now important how this rallies, because it could be that this was just our 3 waves and we're on our way up again. At the moment, I have to say, looking at this, that it's not very encouraging. We're still underneath the 200 moving average. And if we get stuck at 28.74, as in we get reversed there, or 34.46, it would mean for me that this is just the first swing and we're going to do, you know, something like that before we go up again. Okay? DOT is getting added to Coinbase. They tweeted about it today. Okay. If that's happening, then they need to do that little bit more. We need to get over the line here and over this daily 200 moving average. So let's watch this closely and see what happens here. Next swing, that would be great. Look, it is looking promising. I'm not going to lie, but it just needs to go that little bit further. DOT. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Ripple, which is basically our lawsuit lottery ticket, isn't it? Ripple. So huge upside potential. I've got regular candles on. Now I'm afraid in Ripple we're still in that bearish pattern. Matic above the 20, Connor said, Nick mentioned Matic above the 20-day EMA is a very bullish chart. It is. It's, of all of the charts that we've looked at so far tonight, in fact, most charts, it is the most bullish charts in terms of moving averages and support and resistance. Yeah, Matic is. Okay, what upside targets do I have for Matic? Let's go back and find Matic again. Okay, so this is the daily 20 moving average that we've got to overcome. We could put a hard level on it, I think, with a 236 fib sometime, but we're above that, so that's not really the issue here, is it? Okay. Now, whenever you have an ABC, which we've got here, ABC, I always think that you should retrace to the 786, which we've done. So here we do it again. So my first upside target, if this is just a bounce and it's going to coil up, would be 2.16. And above 2.16, I'd be looking for new highs. And I'd wind this out, and I would be looking for, so 2.16, 3.11, 3.65. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. Okay, good luck. So yeah, that's why it's more bullish, but you know, if one goes down, they're all going to go down. Like a crypto, they all seem to be sloshing around together, don't they? If we have a bad end to the month in the markets, then after the Fed on Wednesday, particularly, then none of them are going to, some are going to outperform, but it's, you know, going to be quite a difficult time, I think. Okay, so let's go back to our lottery ticket Ripple. Okay, and the problem with Ripple is if we go all the way from these lows to this high, this is the 61.8 level. I think if I went from this low to high, we might also have a kind of 50% level here in the middle that we're struggling with. Okay, so from this high to this low, this is the 50%. From this low to this high, this is the 61 pullback. This is the previous double top. So this is huge, huge support all the way around here for Ripple that we've been bouncing off. So that's the good news. The bad news is if we hide all these fib levels, And look at candlesticks, we're still in the bottom half of this weekly candle. Haven't been able to break above it. We need to close and a break and hold above 1.1197. Otherwise, this is just sideways back and fill consolidation. So buy dips, and your first target would be that 1.1197. And if we get above it, that would be the bottom in. That's how I'm looking at this. When we look at this, it's all very, yeah, it's not, it's overlapping. Three wave, it's not saying ready to go up again yet, unfortunately. Now, if this is ABC up, this is, yeah. So these range highs as well, here, they're pretty tough support and resistance. So I'm going to say I'm really neutral. This is sideways. I'd like to see a really good buy opportunity on a short term, which I haven't seen yet, to make me want to buy Ripple at the moment. I would say try and buy the lows. So, for example, here, we seem to be stopping here at these highs again. If we go back to the bottom of the range, I think anything you can get sort of around 0.78 would be, if we do have a bit of a sell-off, would be a good buy. But yeah, neutral. Try and buy your lottery tickets cheap. Now, we could say, oh, well, we flipped our, you know, if you're looking for signs of going up, we have flipped our hourly moving averages. That means if we pull back into them and find support here, we'll see another leg higher. We're starting to flip over our 4-hour moving averages. That's pretty positive. We could see a shallow pullback and 3 waves, and then it's time to go up again. But yeah, that's just how I was taught to at a bank, Connor. They always use the 20 because it's closer that way. They just do. So here we are. If we break up new highs, where are we going to look to? The top of the range, 1.06. And then, of course, above there, that 50% level. But at the moment, yeah, Ripple is not a compelling buy, unfortunately, for me yet. I think it has potential, but not yet. How about Sol? Because sometimes Sol's got a nice chart, hasn't it? Let's see. Are we set up for a good move in Sol? Let's start with our weekly chart, because this is pretty cool, because we don't have the problem of bearish weekly candlesticks holding us back. In fact, like Matic, we've got a more bullish scenario going on here. We've had a bullish reversal. This is the candle that pushed us through, and we're holding in the top half of it. So bullish moving averages. So Sol looks all right. The problem is that after this big, long, bullish run, unfortunately, all of these waves still look corrective. So 3 waves down, 1, 2, 3 waves up. If these were equal, then we really, yeah, equal. Then this support here becomes really important, because if we break it, we will come back at least 78.6 of the rally and potentially to new lows. So we're holding. We need to break this bearish symmetry here. We need to hold this support down here. No new lows. And let's, because if we do, high, low. If we do break this support, we're going to come all the way back to the lows at 19.93. So, yeah. Hold on, people. I think a close below 35 sends us back to 19 in a bigger correction. So watch out we don't see a close below 35. I don't think it's a head and shoulders, but no. It's just really a sideways range. Let's make sure we don't break it. Okay. Meatfish says, paint a shit-licking head and shoulders, get everyone short and use the short squeeze. I know, that would be... It's really interesting for me how sentiment changes so quickly on Twitter, in crypto Twitter particularly. Like nothing, price drives the bus and nothing changes sentiment quicker than a price change. We just have to learn to surf better, you know? We have to learn to realize when everybody's really bearish and everybody's really bullish and do the opposite. That really is the most profitable. So in Sol, a break above 44.20, 44.2 breaks our bearish symmetry and sees us going higher. And a break below 35, get out of the way because we're probably going to drop to 19 and retest these lows again. Nice bullish chart, but look, flat moving averages, no trend at all yet. Okay, next one we're going to look at BNB. This one was doing so well. How are we doing now? I'm afraid even my favourite Haven has a bit of a bigger correction coming, unfortunately. Right, so let's go to the weekly chart. Binance coin. Still stuck in the bottom half of a weekly decline. The bottom half, the level we need to close above for a weekly candlestick reversal is 412.5. So we're stuck here. We couldn't hold, we'd had a look above it, but we couldn't hold above it. And the depressing thing about this move was it was one of those three-wave corrections. So 1, 2, 3. If we measure them, if they have a relationship, then it's a good idea. Thinking that that's what we looked at. In this case, it didn't really though, which is a bit annoying. Anyway, it is what it is. It's definitely 5 waves down and 3 waves correction. So the question now is, because whether this is 1 and 2 or A and B, B legs can be quite complicated. It is possible that we have gone A and then this is B and we'll see another leg C before we go down again. If we were to do that and the bigger ones were equal, gosh, we could go all the way up to 540, but at least 455. 455 would be my favourite one to sell this one at, because it's 50% back. That's the sign of a correction. It's the daily 50 moving average here, and yeah, it would just be more bearish. Now sometimes I measure these. Look, here's a trick. See this swing and this swing? I want to know, are these equal? And they are. Now why does that matter? Because, and it matters a lot, okay? And the reason is that normally, if you think about a correction being, so we have a big 5 waves down and we have a 3 wave correction. That's a simple correction, isn't it? Okay, but within this, this must be 3 waves, okay? Otherwise it's not correct. Okay, so here we have our big downtrend, and here's our 3 wave correction. Okay, sometimes it's regular like that and we carry on. Sometimes they do it together like that and we carry on. Okay, sometimes they do it like that and we carry on. And this is the AB in the middle. So this is A, B, C. And this is what I think we've done here. When you can see these 2 swings are equal, then it's still a 3 wave correction, but our 3 waves are this one and this one, like this. And this is our B leg in the middle. So we've gone A, and then we've gone funky B, and now we're going to go C. So I'm measuring it along. So now we go from here. I know Elliott Wave people are laughing at me, and I don't care, that's okay. Okay, so that means that now our targets are 428, the previous high, that would make a lot of sense. That's where this leg would be 61.8 of the first leg. Because remember, fifth waves and first waves are very often equal. And if we go equal to this first swing, 496. Now we put our fibs back on. Does it line up with anything? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, not really. Lines up with the 61.8, doesn't it? And so potentially we could squeak a little bit higher, 496 or 500 in Binance Coin. And it might look like we've done 5 waves up, but because they are choppy, overlapping, bleed into each other, and because these two are equal, it's probably still a correction. Okay, so I've talked quite a lot. So let's talk about simple up and down now. If Binance Coin can close above this previous high and this 20 moving average here, then we are going to retest the highs at 428. If we go beyond 428, there's a good chance that we'll see the daily 50 moving average around 475, but possibly all the way to 496 or 500. Okay, if we make a new high. I am concerned, don't get too excited or married to this trade. I am concerned it's all a big correction for Binance Coin. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Litecoin, Chiliz, there's. Okay, Litecoin. Litecoin is useful. Sometimes it's a really good leading indicator. It'll go first. It leads the way. I don't know why. But in this case today, it really isn't, unfortunately. Now, we are, as you can see, underneath the 200 moving average. If we look at our weekly chart, we're in the bottom half, at least, of this horrendous big red candle. So we are quite bearish, Litecoin, and we're seeing this as just a correction in a very nasty downtrend. Now, it's not a weekly downtrend because we're above the 200 moving average, but whilst we are underneath the daily 200 moving average, it is a downtrend. Now, what if, and here we are here, what if we just do one of those funky irregular corrections? So this is our first leg down, and this one are equal, and then we do a third. So this is A, B, C. That, if we're going to do that, that's quite cool because we'll measure where this is and see where our first target is in Litecoin. And that gives us 187 where they're equal and the daily 200 moving average. So I kind of like Litecoin here. On the long side, I like how we're creeping above these previous highs. But I think our upside is limited and potentially 187 could be resistance. But if you wanted to have a go and see if it could keep going higher, see this double top previous high now, see how we're holding above it. A nice little 3-wave correction here would be a nice long, and then 187. Watch out and see what happens there. If we keep going, you've got yourself a nice entry. If it reverses there, scratch it and get out of the way and wait and see. Okay, that's Litecoin, Chiliz. Here we go. Chiliz is not as, is as, was. Okay. Another. Now, okay, now, at first glance, this looks like a pretty bearish chart on the weekly, doesn't it? We're in the bottom half of this nasty red candle, we're holding underneath the daily 20 moving average. So this is not pretty, really, unless we can get a bit further up and flip this around. We are stuck. So I would also go from that previous low, that's a good one. Support and resistance. However, this does look like correction and potentially over soon. Daily 200 moving averages here, big 786 fib level. There's lots to like about this. if we can just get above this resistance, there is a lot to like about Chiliz. So yeah, I'm going to say I'm neutral in this one. But if we can get out above 0.37, I might get a little bit excited and think that this correction is over. Look for the top of the wedge. When you reverse at a 786 fib, if you can close above the 61.8 fib, your target is the 38.2. So that's the trade between these two levels. Okay? The meat in the sandwich, if you like, if you're a meat eater, is between here and here. Above 0.37, we go to 0.59, basically. So, at the moment, it looks very quiet. This would be a breakout, and then our second breakout, obviously, would be a breakout from this descending channel and above 0.58 and this trend line. And that would set us on track for new highs in Chiliz. So at the moment, yeah, just patience, I'm afraid, in Chiliz. Next one we're going to look at is Waves, waves. Here we go. Now, doesn't this look like Bitcoin right before it broke out? It really does. This one's even better though, because we're riding above the 200-day moving average. Not only that, but if this was a 5-wave rally up here, where we would look for our 3-wave correction to come back to was this previous wave 4, which we've done. So this is ideal place for us to come back. This is our daily trend support, isn't it? Because if you think an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows, if we take out this previous higher low, we've got a lower low, and that's the reversal. So great support, daily 200 moving average, everything you want to see. All we need now is to get above this 20 moving average and start turning it around. And I don't know, third touch of a trend line is very often a false breakout. We've had a little peak. If we, yeah, A, B, C, D, E. If we're going to continue the downtrend, you know, this is a pretty this is a, you know, major resistance, to be honest, for waves. I think it could get in a little bit of a trouble here. And when I look at even the shorter term rally back to here, this is again another equal measured move, 3 waves, all says correction. It's all corrective. So yeah, unless we can break out, I'm a little bit bearish here in waves. I would say manage your risk and hold on to your profits if you've got some. Okay. Link. I'm trying to be you know, the one thing that would turn all of these charts around is a big surprise bullish reversal in Bitcoin. It really, let's go back to Bitcoin, because yeah, I think we've got a date with that 42,000 level, if not a little bit higher, and 43,000. You know, I think this was a nice breakout from a wedge. It can happen. I love how this was exactly 50% back, and just sort of when we were looking for this to break out, this exactly 50% back, a really nice 5 waves up here. So in other altcoins, you know, if you get that, if you see that really nice 5-wave pattern and then you get a 3-wave correction that comes back exactly 50%, that's hands down my favorite setup. And so this buy here, when I posted it everywhere, was hands down 5 waves up, 3 waves back, 50% back, hands down what I like to see to have a go. So if any of these altcoin charts do the same, happy days, really happy days. Okay, so I got out of sync there. We're going to look at link, weren't we? My apologies. Okay. Again, let's start with our weekly chart and get rid of some of these thick lines and have a look at what's going on. Because we're doing that 61.8, 38.2 thing that we talked about earlier. So here's our 61.8 level, daily 50, weekly 50 moving average. Here's our 38.2 and these highs. And whilst we consolidate and go back in these, back and forward in this range, to be quite honest, we could go either way. And I don't know which way next for Link. I could make an argument that, yeah, this was 5 ways down probably. When I see that, I always go back and look, was there a wave earlier that, you know, this is the second leg of? Because you don't kind of want it to be a major high, but, and so now a lot is going to depend how this unfolds, and I hope I've really kind of counted this wrong. So, if the markets don't roll over and we go higher, so we've gone and then B, and then we go C, our first target on the upside here, we need to get above this 50% level in the middle, and we need to get above this 200 moving average. So if you're looking at Link, that's your, and you're long already, that's your first resistance, it's at 26.45. Okay, that's where you can expect some trouble. If we were to make a double bottom, we might make it there, and we could come all the way back and it would still be valid, this setup. So watch out, you know, until you've actually reversed, a lot of things could happen. But if we can hold above 26.45, if we stay above that, price should be supportive, and we would look for 32.6 next, maybe 40.38. So that's how I see Link. Not terribly, you know, unfortunately, I think a bigger correction may be coming for Link now, but let's see. I never say never. Okay, I do have a VRA chart. Hello, Squidgy Ball. I might try and see if I've got time at the end, but let's see what's next, because I'm being very slow. Digibyte, XVG, FTM. Okay, Digibyte. And I just need a quick drink, 1 second. This one, what a horror of a sideways range. So when we look at our weekly chart, we've got 3 black crows here. It's not, that's quite bearish, unfortunately. We did though stop at a 786 fib level, and that's quite good news, because if you stop at a 786 fib and you get back above the 61.8, then you will usually return to the 38.2, which in Digibyte would mean all the way up to here. So sideways, I'm really not bullish in Digibyte unless we close above 0.0809. Now you can try and get an entry off the lows and have that as your first target. That's also pretty good. We've got a pretty nice kind of quadruple, at least a triple bottom going on here. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, is it almost time to get going again? It would be good, wouldn't it? I just don't see any. Yeah. moving averages the wrong way around. It's just, you know, I think I'd almost like to see a retest before I bought this. I'm not feeling it, unfortunately, in Digibyte. Sideways range, I'd be really bullish though, above 0.0809. Now, clearly this is pretty good support. I think if you bought it as close as you could to the support, that wouldn't be such a terrible deal. Kristen Richard says, where are the barking dogs? I know, they're being very quiet. But I am drinking pineapple and orange squash. Okay, I took the dogs for a mad dash through the woods before I started tonight so that they would be worn out. And they haven't had their dinner, which is quite unusual. They're normally like hanging out going, where's our food? But it's been really quite hot for the UK. So everything's happening a little bit later when it's cooler here. So, but they're a bit stressed as well because they can see me packing and moving. So I don't know about you guys. I'm having a really shit time in my personal life right now. I really hope yours is better. Right then, where are we? Digibyte, sideways range. I would buy this if we could start flipping these moving averages, maybe. This hourly, 200 moving average, these highs, see these highs? Don't start me, Connor. Warm here in Kent. It's very warm here in Norfolk. I'm moving from Norfolk though. Okay. A big sideways range becomes a smaller sideways range. That's quite good because we get an early warning of a breakout. My favourite way, if I'm really kind of, is it going to go or not? Okay, I'll go from, so here this is the lowest low. I'm going to put my fib from here to this low, lowest low. And I usually look for the 236 fib, like a 4-hour close above that 236 fib. That would be a bullish reversal for me. And see how that's working? 0.5857 then. So that would, I'd like to see a 4-hour kind of close and hold above that. But even that's, you know, being a bit woolly here, isn't it, in Digibyte? That would be a buy signal from me. Okay. Next one we're going to look at. Oh, I need to get it together. XVG. Now, this is a better looking chart because we are holding the 200 moving average. The problem is that this rally is corrective, ABC, and not what we want to see for a new uptrend. And I have to say this looks like a bear flag, so not my favourite, unfortunately. Now, I think I might have my fibs on the other way around. So let's try them a different way, and we'll go from this low to this high and see where we are sitting. So this is our low down here. This is our high up here. Because we're sitting on that 786 fib level, so there's always room for us to go one floor lower, if you like, to the 886, but retest that 786 as well. So if this flag were to break down, I would be looking at 0.19 to hold on a retest. But potentially, gosh, we could just keep going. I don't know. I'm not feeling so I don't think we'll see new lows from here. I think we might retest the lows. And so our range is the 786 fib here. If that breaks down, obviously we are in big trouble. And if we can break above this 61.8 level, that would confirm the reversal. Remember, when you reverse at 786, you're looking for the 38.2. So we would have a nice trade from here to here. We would go from 0.033 to 0.053. That's quite a nice percentage return. So we're not going to see that though unless we close above 0.033. We might even stretch to that 236 fib. That's the second target for our trade. But whilst we're in this sideways range, no. So maybe try and buy a retest of the lows. This would be your first target. If we can break above, happy days. Okay, next one we're going to XVG. Yeah, sorry about that. So that would be your target though, if we could close above 0.0334. Okay, FTM. I haven't looked at that one for a while. In fact, I don't know where the chart is. Let's have a look around. FTM. Fantom. So we'll look at it against the dollar so that we don't have that big Bitcoin distortion thing. Let's take away. It's been a while since I looked at this one. So if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've come back to these previous wave. Gosh, this is really nasty. How far we came back, isn't it? That's crypto, man. Okay, let's take a quick peek here. Again, we've got one of those 786 as our support. So that's what we would look for to hold on a retest. It's a pretty sharp level, 207. So if we drop back to the bottom, 207, and if we can close above 0.367, we've got a bullish reversal. And that's all. We're stuck in that 786, 61.8 range. Above here, here's our first target, 0.593. This would be our trade from here to here, and then potentially to here. So 0.593 and then 0.733 in Fantom. So it's really what we do in this range. If we do one more swing lower, we're going to look for 0.207 to hold. Otherwise, if you don't want to miss this and you don't look at this every day, I'd put this trend line in and an alert on it. And so an alert here that gets us at above this trend line and above this 200 moving average, that'd be cool. But yeah, we need more patience, I think, unfortunately, for Nick versus Jake Paul. I don't know who's Jake Paul. I'm so uncool. I don't know who these people are. Maybe I follow him. Do I follow him on Twitter? Hello, Daleks. So I look at Theta and Veet, and somebody asked for VRX, I think, as well, didn't they? Okay, Fantom. Yeah. Nice little 3. If we could hold this for our 50 moving average, nice little 3 waves back. We've got 5 up now. That would be a good look. Okay. But yeah, Fantom, I'm not really. Let's see if we hold these 4-hour moving averages. A shallow pullback, like a 38.2, something like that. An inverted head and shoulders pattern here. Something like that would be a very tempting pattern, wouldn't it? I'd feel better about it then. I really do like to see a pretty good evidence of a bottom. Or a pattern that I like, you know, a reliable pattern. Basic attention token. I didn't write that down earlier, did I? No. Okay, basic attention token. So 3 waves correction. Are we done? Is it a nice equal measured move? That would be ideal. Not quite. Unfortunately, the equal measured move is a little bit lower. This was quite a steep one on the first one. And this 61.8 potentially is now resistance. So it may be that we need to drop one more here. I'm going to say it may be that BAT is not quite ready. Yeah, 786. I'm a buyer at 0.5559. 0.5559, that's the level. I think one more push down and that'll be a nice buy. Another way you could draw this as a channel as well. I think roughly, let's see where we are. It's not working out right. Yeah. Unless, let's widen it out and use those highs. Unless we break these highs from this trend line, I think we've got one more swing lower. 0.5559 back up the trot. That, and watch the price action there. It should be really bullish, hopefully. Okay, next one we're going to look at. That would be a textbook Gartley pattern. Okay, so with a Gartley pattern, your first leg is to the 61.8. Your second leg is to the of correction is to the 786, and the best Gartley patterns are when the swings are equal. So this would be a ideal A1 Gartley pattern, 0.5559, and that's why I would buy it there. And I would even put an alarm there, make sure you catch it. I draw a simple alarm. I like trend lines. But I might buy some that's quite a useful token, this one. Okay. And I'm a huge fan of Gartley patterns. So I'm going to put an alert on that trend line. That means when it gets there, TradingView will send me an alert to my phone. Thank you, TradingView. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Haven and Neo. Now, as you know, I'm a bit of a fan of Haven. So fair, just you know, I like to think that my analysis is balanced, but I own this coin and I like it. So maybe I might not always, you know, I try to be balanced anyway. I have to say that this one is another one where I don't think we've finished our correction. So although we crept a little bit high in terms of candlesticks, we had this big drop in Haven after this double top swing failure here. Big drop. We came back all the way to the 61.8. The problem is that this is all in one big drop and a rally. And I feel like we need a third leg to finish our correction. So here's our first big drop. You can see it was all in one really. Here's our 3 waves up, which have now reversed. And so if this is our first leg, this leg has a relation to the first leg. So if we measure this one, we're looking for where that 61.8 comes, and that unfortunately says that it looks like we're going to retest 18,186. So I'm looking for a retest of there, and because it's that 61.8 and you can go back and forward a lot, I really do think Haven should bounce there. Clearly, if it doesn't, we've got some big problems and I wouldn't hold on. But these 61.8 levels can be messy, so expect it. It might overshoot. It might be a bit of a, you know, squeaky bum, make you think it's all going wrong time. But this level I'm looking for it to hold on a pullback and a retest for Haven Bitcoin. Now, some people trade Haven against the dollar, don't they? At KuCoin, you can trade it against Tether. So let's take a quick peek. Because in this one, actually, we're doing that 786, 61.8 thing. So a weekly close above 12.97. That would be bullish, where it's otherwise sideways. That's my big picture view. In this one, I actually think that it's not so bearish, and we could have already completed our correction if we could just break higher, you know. Ay, ay, ay. But this rally, when you have three waves that come back this far, unfortunately, it says this is not a new upswing yet. So more patience required. I've got this on log scale. Let me put this. If we lose 8.34, the next support for Haven is at 5.59 and 886. And I have to say that I think that that's possibly where we're going to go. Okay. Hope not. Hope I'm wrong. But a close on the daily below 8.34, 5.59. It's just too sideways, unfortunately. Haven then, and then Neo. So every time I look at Neo, I think, gosh, this is quite promising. Double top. Here's, you know, did we reach our double top target? It kind of looks like it. If I measure from the lows, are we at a nice fib level? It's just we can't seem to get any momentum to bounce off the lows. We get down here and we're going sideways. Now when I look at this, these fib levels make me nervous, because if we're holding underneath this 61.8, we have not reached the 7866. And so I feel like in Neo, unless we can get above 56.24, which it doesn't look like it, the path of least resistance is lower to 33.27. I know that's not going to please some people, but 33.27 then. This last week in Neo, this was a bearish engulfing candle. The body of the candle engulfs all of the previous week's range. And so if we stay in a shallow correction in the bottom half of this, I would look for us to continue lower. And 33.27 is the target. Now, that's the bad news. The trigger for that, I would say, would be losing this daily 200 moving average. At the moment, we're holding on. At the moment, I would say we've even done 3 waves down. Not quite though. It's a bit lower, isn't it? Yeah. Not a buy yet then, Neo, for me. Clearly we've got this 200 moving average. And if we, I really do think if we lose that, unfortunately, because this is the, yeah, I think that there's a risk that we see new lows to 33.27 if we get underneath this 200 moving average, which, you know, has been support all along. Okay. All right. Can we look at Hex? Let's see some more charts. Hold on. And we're going to look at Theta and then Hex. Let's look for Theta first, and then VRX. I keep waiting for this one to break out. How bullish is this chart? Really? Look at it. It's so nice. This swing and this swing are perfectly equal. I've got it in log scale, so it's a bit misleading. So a perfect ABC correction back to the 200-day moving average, and here we are trying to break up and go up again. The problem is when you do these perfect, sometimes the broader market isn't ready to go when you are. And so you'll do this perfect correction, and then you'll do the bounce, and then you'll do this big retest before you go again. And you'll make this big double bottom. And I feel like unless we can break out here soon, That's probably what we're going to see. Why haven't we broken out already? It's so annoying. This is Theta and Matic are by far my favourite charts, setups to go higher. And yeah, you should call this chart still waiting for a breakout in Theta after, gosh, how many days? It's since the 3rd of June. Mainnet at the month end for Theta. Thank you, Connor. Mainnet at the month end test. Mainnet test end at the month end. Yeah. So perfect. Smaller ABC correction. I think this is a buy. I'm looking for a breakout in Theta. Love it. Where's our targets then? Well, I'm going to go back to the weekly and get rid of this for a second. Because if you do that ABC thing, remember, your first target, let's take everything away, if we break out, is a 786 fib retrace. So from the high to this low, 786. That would be 13.3. So that would be the first place I'd look for it to stop. Maybe have a pullback, a shallow one to the 61.8, maybe a deep one like this, and then carry on. Yeah. At the moment though, look at this gremlin level, 50%, just sitting here. That's what we've got to close above. 9.865 is a close above 9.865 would be bullish too. So yeah, really do like that Theta daily chart. 13.3, and then I'll be looking for new highs after that. 19.15, 23.31. Okay. Just gonna have a quick drink. Let's stick it, maybe a couple more. I couldn't find VRX, so I thought maybe I don't have it ready. VRX with F. I don't think that's the one you meant, do you? Okay, I'm not sure. The bull flag on the 15-minute. If we were in, yeah. Okay, yeah, so Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. $42,049, that's my next upside target. That's where we would have a big ABC. As long as we stay above 39.2, that's where I think we go next. And then if we push above 42, next target is 46.6. And that would be really bullish. So yeah, so here's our 15-minute. Here we've made a nice little ABC, back to support, back to these highs. My favorite way to see if we're turning is to put Heikin-Ashi on hourly. So first green hourly, we should be on our way. Another little bull flag. I agree with you. Very nice little bull flag. And clearly we can see 3 waves correction. So a good look. Thank you, Casper. Okay, I'll look at Hex then. And then I'm going to finish. Okay. Again, I just can't stress how important it is that you're very careful on Wednesday. And Wednesday late when the Fed are... it could be quite a volatile day in the markets, that's all. I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't be out walking the dogs, let's put it that way, when the Fed are doing it. Now, this chart is super bullish. I agree. I agree with you. Need to do a bit of wave counting here. Now, I have a really weird thing that I do. So, you just have to bear with me here. I just want to see, are my level projections working? And I'm going to do them on here as well, but I'll do a different color. Yeah, okay, cool. So here we go. I think in Hex, we've had a big breakout today. And as long as we hold above this 0.86 level, I think that we're looking for 0.138 next. Looking pretty good. Okay, that's mean. Just ignore this. If it wasn't spelt, if it was spelt, like, how would you know it was me? If it was spelt right, you wouldn't know. So here's our support. Okay, we don't want to close back below the bottom of this zone, 0.086. And our next target, if this holds, that's what we would be looking for this to be support. And we carry on higher. Okay, everybody. Okay, so I may be here next week. I definitely will not be here in 2 weeks. Everybody, I will be on. We'll see you on Twitter for Wednesday night, and let's hope it's not a